Yeah, man, it's Pika calling in from Singapore again. It is Sunday night, y'all. It is September 9th, 10th? It's September 10th. Yeah. Um, so, kind of cool. I was off today. I'm actually off again tomorrow, so I'm actually happy about that. I get 2 days off in a row. I usually get just Fridays and Mondays, but this is kind of nice. I'm actually really excited because I have family coming over tomorrow. So for those of you who know or don't, either way, I moved to Singapore because I have the highest concentration of family members here in Singapore, and I thought I'd have the best support here. Unfortunately, tragedy struck. I lost one grandparent and then another, and in the process of all of that, my family is still grieving a little bit. So it's a little bit harder to get everybody to get together because that's what they used to do when my grandparents were around. They'd all come over to the house. We'd cook, we'd eat, we'd play cards, we'd drink, just have a good old time. So I'm trying to resurrect that a little bit, trying to make it, my own, and see if I can't, put my own kind of spin on it and get my cousins to get together so that the kids can get to know each other a little bit better. Otherwise, if someone doesn't pull us together, I feel like all of us would grow up in our own directions and not really have that bond that I know my family, my immediate cousins and I had when I was growing up. So I want that for my daughter a lot. I'm really excited they've agreed to come. We were originally going to do it, I think we were supposed to do it on the 15th of August. That was going to be my first day, back to work, and it was going to be the day that my mom left, and there was just so much going on, and I happened to get sick. My daughter got sick, and I just didn't think it was the right time. So we canceled it then. We rescheduled it till now, so it would be September 11th. That would be in tomorrow. I'm still trying to work out what I want to cook, and obviously because we have little kids coming, so I have two little boys that are coming, my two nephews, and then my daughter as well. So I'll make some of her favorites, and hopefully they'll enjoy it too. I'm thinking about macaroni and cheese with some bacon and some spaghetti and meatballs, because I know if I cook a lot, I'll have it to keep in the house anyway, so then I don't have to cook the rest of the week. I'll be straight. For the adults, I'm thinking of doing red rice. I'm not exactly sure yet. It'll either be red rice or it'll be jambalaya, one or the other, because I haven't made jambalaya in a while either, but I figure if I make a couple of really big meals, it'll help me out as well. It will make sure that everybody has enough to eat. They can get seconds and thirds if they want to. And then, of course, true to form, I will make dessert. So right now, it's a toss-up between chocolate pie, and no, it's not the Helps version of the chocolate pie, but it's chocolate chess pie, the kind that used to make at U-Crops out in the States. It was my absolute favorite. It's kind of like a fudge pie. It's so freaking good. I can't even explain it to you. The other thing I was going to think about doing was either a cream cheese pound cake or my famous vanilla mousse cheesecake. So I really don't know. It's a toss-up. So I'm thinking maybe one or the other. And if I make two, then, everybody can take home some stuff too. So I'm not going to sit here and eat it by myself. So they might as well take it home. So that is the proposed menu for tomorrow. I was originally thinking about doing snack foods as well. I don't know if I'll have time to make Chex Mix or fruit leather or any of that shit. I think I'm reaching at this point. I might as well open a restaurant of that. So I'm gonna scale it back. Just do the 2 dishes for the kids, 1 dish for the adults, and 2 desserts. So we have a choice, and it'll be fun because if I had originally had the original get-together on the 15th, we would have just been out just after Geeta, my cousin's birthday, and now that we're doing it at the moment, it's just after her youngest son Kieran's birthday. So either way, I want to, kind of celebrate both of them and, really enjoy how they're over here at the moment. The other thing is I'm thinking about putting on Cars 3 for them to enjoy. I think the boys are really like that. I found a punching bag today because Gayatri's been bugging me about it. So I got a punching bag. I'll probably inflate that as well. I have a trampoline in the house. I have a little, I have a little bouncy ball and a bunch of little boy toys. So I think the boys will be happy, and it'll just be nice. It would be nice to have a house full of kids for once. It's been my dream to have a big family, lots of kids just running around. So this would be as close as I get. I get to play with my little nephews for the first time in a really, really long time. Okay, so that is the day, and I want to talk to you about the byproduct. So lately, I've been kind of emo. Lately, there have been a lot of ups and downs. Lately, I've had to change what I'm doing, change up my decision-making styles, really reevaluate what I've been doing. And I want to tell you that I really feel that you are a byproduct not of your circumstances, but of your decisions. Because everybody can face the same circumstances, but not everybody will make the same decisions. So I really believe that you are the byproduct of your decisions. Now, I know I could do so much better than I am right now with my business, but that isn't to say that I could be doing a whole lot worse as well. This time last year, I was talking about a business, I wasn't doing shit, okay? And I'm not particularly proud of that, but I am glad that I have that as a starting point. I had a business license this time last year. I wasn't doing anything with it. I had that business license for over a year and a half before I did anything with it. So that's what I'm saying. You are a product of your decisions. Once I decided to put the wheels in motion, once I understood what it is that I wanted to do, how it was I wanted to go about doing it, and started actually doing it, everything changed. And a lot of times I know everybody will talk about, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur because it's like the sexy thing to do right now. But being an entrepreneur, there's nothing sexy about it. The grind is not cool. It is not sexy. There's nothing elegant. There's nothing gorgeous. There's nothing remotely attractive about it. Let me tell you, the hustle is going to a 9-to-5 every day, all right? You run from the 9-to-5 to run and get your kid from daycare, only to rush back home as fast as possible so that you have time. You're racing against the clock always, so you have time to give your kid a shower, fix up dinner for them, maybe sit down for like an hour at most to maybe watch TV and relax and wind down from the day, only to put that child to bed. And then if you're really committed to your dream, you start putting in your work. So for me, the hustle for me starts from 9:30, 10 o'clock, and it runs until 3, 4 in the morning most days, okay? And even though some days I'm not actually physically doing work, I am always thinking about my business. I'm always talking about my business. I have my very best friend that I talk to most nights, and we powwow about the way the world is, the things that the world needs, the things that we feel like we need to bring attention to. I know today we were talking about Logic and the kinds of music that he puts out, and I really love the fact that he has chosen concepts out there that really should be spoken about. We need to get, the conversation going about the inequality in the world, the injustice in the world, the things that we could be doing to help, because if you really think about it, the people that are in power, if you put them together in a room versus the people who are not in power, guess who outweighs whom? Come on. If we were to rally together, the amount of damage we could do, they have no idea. We could overthrow the establishment. They just don't realize it. Or maybe they do, because they really do fight really hard to make sure that we're all divided. We hate each other. We don't get along. We don't want to see eye to eye. Why? Because they drive us through fear. Okay? And it has always been a divide and conquer situation from the beginning, like all the way in the Spartans and the Romans and all that shit. It's always been divide and conquer, and you know it. But what happens? We get petty, we get short-sighted, we forget what's going on. So I feel like having people around you to spur those conversations, to get you thinking, get the creative juices flowing, I think that's really necessary. As necessary as it is to punch a clock on your own business, to put in work outside of the hours that you're working for your boss or whatever, because believe it or not, when you go to work every day, you're building that business. Now, Scholars Inc., where I work, is a very, very tiny company. It's privately owned. The two founders, I work directly under Sheila, who is one of the founders, and Miss Wendy is the other founder, and they were schoolmates, and they thought up this business, and yes, right now I am building their business for them. And I'm happy to do that, because while I'm building their business, I'm getting on the ground knowledge. I'm being trained by people who know what they're doing, like really, really know what they're doing. And I'm getting the opportunity to try it out on their business to see if I can be a success with their business before I put those same skills to work in my own. So the decisions I make, damn sure decide who I am, damn sure define, what I will be, how successful I will become, because I am going to make sure that I put in the work. I mean, I put in the work all the time, okay? There are days where I am exhausted. I just can't think straight. I can't put two neurons together and get them to fire. So some days, yeah, it's not going to be as productive as others. But that isn't to say that I don't think about it all the time. It's on my mind all the time. I'm absorbing, I'm consuming content. I am trying to get new perspectives because I really feel that if I can just stretch my mind, if I can keep stretching my mind, I will remain young, I will remain relevant, I will remain me. And I really do believe that a mind stretched by knowledge and experience will never, never, never be able to shrink back to its original dimensions and be who they were. Once you stretch yourself, you guys, you've changed. You will not be able to go back to being the person you were yesterday. There's just no way. I think there's a quote out there, something like, a man can never step in the same river twice, and that is absolutely true. Water is currently it's constantly moving, it's constantly evolving. It takes the shape of whatever container it's in. When it flows, it does not flow in one direct path. It kind of meanders along and follows whatever path it chooses. And the fact that this is talking about water is very relevant, right? Water is fluid, so you can't step in the same river twice. The river changes constantly. But the other side of that is you can't step in the same river twice because you also change from moment to moment. So based on whatever catalysts, whatever instigations people want to give you, whatever is coming up, from wherever, you are not the same person from moment to moment. I'm not the same person I was this time yesterday. I'm not the same person I was half an hour ago. I had a brilliant conversation with a young lady out in London. Jane, if you're out there, thank you so much for spending time with me. Now, as you all know, I am a coach. I am a mindset and motivation coach. And for me, I deal directly with emotion. I deal directly with how emotions spur you to do certain things, how emotions guide you with what vibes with you and what does not. You need to pay attention to your emotions. You need to really think about what your emotions are trying to tell you. It's like that gut-wrenching feeling in your stomach when you come across someone who's not on the level and you feel it in your gut. So those are the things I deal with. Those are the things I love because I really, really do understand them. And they've guided me to a point, all through my life. I've always looked to that for, as my guidance system. So to be able to do a mock coaching call for my new class. I had 2 clients today, mock clients today, that I was able to help them see what my discovery process is like. I think it was really eye-opening to them. I hope, I don't know. Jane told me as much, and I'm thinking Rahel actually felt the same way as well. But the conversation I had with Jane was very, very different from the conversation I had with Rahel. Rahel was guarded. I could tell she was guarded. She wasn't quite sure if she could trust me or not. She wasn't quite sure what I expected of her. So she was very, very guarded with her answers. So I wasn't able to glean anything passionate or emotional from her so that I could connect with her as well as I wanted to. So, I stayed the course. If she was going to be guarded, I had my wall up as well. And I made sure that I answered to the point. I tried to be as kind as possible. I tried to help her understand that, no matter what it is you're going through, I can help, but you got to let me in. And the main point I made sure that she took away from our mock coaching call is that if I'm not a good fit for you, or you're not a good fit for me, but one of us is wasting our time. So it really needs to be a two-way street. We need to both be able to trust each other and open up for any coaching situation to work. On the other hand, with Jane, super, super easy flow. It was beautiful to see her open up as much as she did. I have a soft spot for people who get teary-eyed when they tell their story, mostly because I know it still hurts, but they're being brave enough to share it. And that is something you don't see in the world anymore. People are so guarded, or they're so fake. It's like they really, really want you to think a certain way about them, so they try really hard to paint this particular picture. But on a day-to-day basis, they can't back it up. So it's so deep to me to see people who are willing to open up, to really share, because they want help. They genuinely want help, and they know if they don't open up, if they don't tell you the whole story, you're not going to be able to see what the solution is for them. You're not going to be able to see the correct solution for them. So I thank Jane very, very much for opening up the way she did, because it gave me license to open up in return. I know for a fact, I've lived this theory forever. If you have someone who opens up to you, the right thing to do is to open right back up to them, so that they know that they were not in vain, that they didn't leave themselves vulnerable for nothing. It's a know, like, trust factor, basically. So it was very cool to be able to open up to her, to have her understand that, look, I know where you're coming from, being a single mom, having to juggle bills, to juggle, different personality types inside the household, to make sure that everyone is taken care of. And at the end of the day, there really isn't much left for you, but you plod on anyway, you trudge on anyway. Yeah. So I really, really appreciate the candid nature of our conversation, and the fact that I had a chance to practice, because guess what? My time is coming. I am being called to coach already, and I'm really excited about it and really nervous at the same time, because I know I'm not going to be a good fit for everybody, and I know there are going to be some people who come in and they just want to complain, and that's the only reason they want a coach. It's because they want the attention. So I know I need to be careful with my energy. I know I need to, set the intention early and clear in our coaching discovery calls. But the fact that I had a chance to practice with two of my colleagues, that was freaking amazing. I really, really enjoyed it. So back to the topic at hand, being a byproduct of your decisions. By talking to these young women and trying to figure out where they've been and where they want to go, what their vision is for the future, it really tells me how passionate they are. The more you suffer, obviously, the more passionate you are about overcoming what it is that you've been through before, making sure that none of that shit ever happens again, because you've had it, you've been there, and you just don't want to go through that again. So it really shows me the dedication it takes to being your authentic self after you've been through war, basically. Yeah. So to understand that you're a byproduct of your decisions and not your circumstances, that really makes a difference, I think. It really resounds more, and it drives home the point that, what happens doesn't make who you are. How you deal with it makes who you are. So, like I mentioned, I am an emotional person. The emotions drive my decisions. They drive who I am. I've used them as a guidance system for very, very many years. And I think that I've learned to manage them fairly well so that I get the most out of my emotions and then act accordingly. Now, that isn't to say that in the last couple of days where I've had some emo conversations with y'all that I wasn't overcome by my emotion. But even then, if you noticed, I didn't name any names. I didn't say any specifics. I made sure y'all understood, like, on the whole, like from a macro standpoint, this is what's going on. What do you think should be done? And I didn't tell you to pass judgment. I didn't tell you, any specifics at all, but just the gist of the situation, because I felt like you need to know that sometimes I fall from grace. Sometimes my decision-making skills aren't the best, but even so, I try to remain as objective as possible, and I'm not here to point fingers. I'm not here to say, oh my God, he hurt me, or oh my God, she's such a bitch. That's not who I am. I've never been that way. I don't deal with gossip. I don't like it. I would rather just listen, nod, and keep going if you're going to indulge in gossip or whatever. But yeah, so my emotions guide me with my decisions, and I know that my decisions will forever herald who I am before I even get there. I want a good reputation. I want people to know me as a level-headed person, someone that they can come to if they need help, someone who knows how to create a safe space for anybody who's hurting, for anyone who's lost, for anyone who's confused, because I know what it is to be those things. I know what it's like to not have anyone, and I want to make sure that in a world where I exist, there shouldn't be any space around me that isn't safe. There shouldn't be anywhere that someone could happen to run into me where they would, I don't know, catch a bad vibe from me. I mean, okay, yeah, there's going to be some times, obviously, but it wouldn't be intentional. It would be if I felt threatened in any way, that would be when you caught a bad vibe from me. But even then, it's not intended to hurt anyone. It's not intended to ruffle feathers or to scare anybody off. It's mostly to defend myself. So, byproducts. It's not the circumstance. Things happen. They're not good or bad. They just happen. The value you assign to it based on how you feel, that's what makes it good or bad. I mean, sunshine to one person could be, lethal if they're allergic to the sun, if they're allergic to vitamin D. To some people who don't enjoy rain because they don't like being wet. For example, my brother hates walking to the bathroom if the floor is wet. He gets really like itchy and antsy, and he's just not a happy person when that happens. So, but for me, I don't mind because I feel like I feel more grounded when I'm near water. And a lot of times if it's really hot in the house and I can't fall asleep, the first thing I'll do is go wash my feet to kind of like draw that heat away from my body and make me cold enough to fall asleep. So one man's meat is another man's poison, you guys. And that same situation could happen exactly the same way to every one of us, and we'd have a different reaction. So it really is based on our decisions. It really is based on our emotions, how we feel about things, how we interpret what happened and what's not happening, and why it's not happening. Why is there a lack? And all of these things, they define who we are. They say you can define a man by the size of the thing that upsets him. I know people who were multi-millionaires who stayed at the Grand Hyatt and would have an absolute conniption if they somehow had a key that did not work. Now, keys are faulty all the time. They're magnetically programmed. So if anything happens and they somehow deactivate or whatever, for someone to come down to the lobby in the middle of the night screaming at the top of their lungs because the key doesn't work, rather than quietly come down, quickly get it rekeyed, go back up to your room, save time, that speaks volumes about who you are. It really does. So I caution you guys, really think about what your reactions are like. Really think about, why you react the way you do. Is it really worth it to make that much of a fuss over nothing? But at the end of the day, you are a byproduct of your decisions, your thoughts. Anyway, that's my rant for the day. I am excited to cook tomorrow. I have a lot of work to do, actually. I have a project I need to get started on. I have logos I need to kind of brainstorm and kind of nail down a little bit. I have a deadline coming up on the 15th, so I really, 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 really need to get my work done. So I'm going to call it a night, you guys, and I will catch y'all tomorrow.